The toilet in the corner of your bathroom has a yellow-brown ring sitting just below the waterline that no amount of scrubbing has ever fully erased. You have attacked it with a brush until your shoulder ached. You have poured bleach over it and let it sit overnight. You have bought the blue tablets that drop into the tank and turn the water a color that looks clean. And still, every few weeks, that ring comes back, sometimes darker than before. Here is the thing nobody tells you while you are on your knees scrubbing. You have been fighting the wrong enemy with the wrong weapon the entire time. That stain is not dirt. Bleach was never built to remove it, and the harder you scrub, the more you are wearing down the surface that is supposed to be slick and stain-resistant in the first place. There is a powder that costs less than a cup of tea at a corner stall, one you can buy in any baking supply aisle, that dissolves that ring in under an hour with no brush at all. I'm going to show you exactly how and why the bottle you have been buying for years was never designed to solve this problem. My name is Alex Wong. I spent 11 years repairing and renovating apartments across this city, and in that time I have replaced more toilets, unclogged more drains, and scrubbed more bathroom tile than I care to count. My master, a man who fixed plumbing for 40 years before he ever let me touch a wrench, used to say that water tells you everything about a building if you know how to read it. I learned to read those rings the hard way, on my hands and knees in other people's bathrooms, long before I understood the chemistry behind them. Here is the part that should bother you. The companies selling you bleach and the blue tank tablets know exactly what causes that ring, and they know their products barely touch it. They keep selling you the same bottle because a stain that never fully disappears is a stain you keep buying more bottles for. By the end of this, you will know exactly what that ring is made of, what actually dissolves it, and how to keep it from forming again without ever picking up a brush. Let me start with what that ring actually is, because if you do not understand that, nothing else in this video will make sense. That brown-yellow ring sitting at and below the waterline is not filth in the way most people imagine filth. It is mineral. Every time water sits in your toilet bowl, it carries dissolved calcium and magnesium with it, the same minerals that build up inside a kettle or cake onto the inside of a shower head. As water evaporates slowly between flushes, especially in a bowl that does not get used for hours at a stretch, those minerals get left behind, layer after layer, bonding to the porcelain. Add a little iron from older pipework and you get that rust-brown tint mixed into the white-gray crust. This is called limescale, and it is a chemical deposit, not biological grime. Bleach is an oxidizer. It is built to break down organic stains, to kill bacteria, to lighten dyes. It does almost nothing to a mineral deposit, because there is no pigment for it to bleach and no organic matter for it to oxidize. You can pour bleach into that bowl every single week for a year, and the limescale ring will still be sitting there, because you are using a tool built for the wrong job entirely. What actually dissolves limescale is acid, and this is simple, well-documented chemistry, not folk wisdom. Calcium carbonate, which is the main mineral in that ring, reacts with acid and breaks down into calcium ions, water, and carbon dioxide gas, which is why you see fizzing the moment the right acid touches old limescale. The stronger and more concentrated the acid, the faster that reaction runs. This is the same reaction that lets vinegar strip the crust off a kettle element, or lets a descaling tablet clear a coffee machine. Your toilet bowl is no different. It is the same mineral, the same chemistry, the same fix. The trouble with vinegar is that it is weak, only around 5% acetic acid, so it works slowly and needs hours of contact. What you want instead is citric acid, sold as a plain white powder in the baking aisle for around 6 or 7 yen, less than $1, for a bag that will last you through a dozen cleanings. Citric acid is a much stronger acid by weight. It has no smell worth mentioning, and unlike bleach, it will not damage rubber seals, septic systems, or your lungs if you breathe near it. Here is exactly how I do it, the same method I have used in my own apartment for years and recommended to every client who complained about a ring that would not quit. First, turn off the water supply valve at the wall behind the toilet. Then flush to empty as much water from the bowl as you can, so the acid is not diluted the moment it touches the porcelain. Some bowls will not drain fully, and that is fine. Take roughly 200 grams of citric acid powder, about a heaping cup, and pour it directly onto the stained areas, concentrating it right along the waterline ring and any patch that looks discolored. Do not mix it with water first. You want the dry powder making direct contact with the surface, because a thick, wet paste sitting still does more work than a thin, diluted solution running off. If the stain is heavy, add just enough warm water to turn the powder into a paste, the texture of wet sand, thick enough that it clings to the curve of the bowl instead of sliding straight down into the drain. Once the paste is sitting against the ring, leave it. This is the part most people get impatient about and ruin the whole job by rushing. A light ring needs perhaps 30 minutes. A ring that has been building for a year or more, the kind that looks almost like rust, needs closer to 2 hours, and for the worst cases I have seen in older buildings, I have left it overnight, 8 hours, with a towel laid over the bowl to slow evaporation. During that time, the acid is steadily breaking the calcium bonds holding the mineral to the porcelain. You do not need to come back and stir it or check on it. Chemistry does not need supervision. When the time is up, turn the water supply back on, flush twice, and look at the bowl. In the vast majority of cases, the stain lifts away in sheets with the flushing water alone. No brush required. If a faint shadow remains in stubborn spots, a few seconds with a damp cloth, not a brush, will finish it. Because by then the bond between mineral and porcelain has already been broken, and you're only wiping away loose residue rather than scraping at anything attached. Now I want to address the brush itself, because this is where I see the convenience generation cause its own problem without realizing it. A stiff plastic toilet brush, used week after week on porcelain, leaves microscopic scratches across the glaze, even though you cannot see them with your eye. Porcelain glaze is smooth specifically so that water and waste slide off cleanly, and minerals have nowhere to grip. Once that glaze is scratched, even slightly, it becomes rougher at a microscopic level, almost like sandpaper compared to glass, and rougher surfaces give limescale far more places to latch onto. This is why a toilet that gets scrubbed hard and often develops rings faster than one that gets cleaned gently and rarely. You are not winning the fight against the stain. You are sanding down the wall that is supposed to be keeping the stain out in the first place. Every job I have walked into with a toilet that stains within 2 weeks of a hard scrub, and every job I have walked into with a toilet that stays clean for 2 months after a gentle acid soak, taught me the same lesson. Dissolve the mineral chemically. Do not grind at the glaze mechanically. The acid does the work the brush was always failing to do, and it does it without damaging the one thing protecting you from the next ring. There is also a maintenance trick worth knowing, the kind my master would call thinking ahead instead of cleaning behind. If your water is hard, meaning it carries a heavy mineral load, which you can roughly judge by how fast your kettle or showerhead crusts over, you can prevent the ring from building up in the first place, rather than dissolving it after the fact. Once a week, drop 1 heaping tablespoon of citric acid powder directly into the bowl before bed, when the toilet will sit unused for several hours. No scrubbing, no scent, nothing visible in the morning except a bowl that flushes clean on the first try. This keeps the mineral load low enough that it never has the chance to bond into a visible ring, the same way wiping a kettle dry after every use keeps it from crusting in the first place. For households with very hard water, I tell clients to do this twice a week through the warmer months, when evaporation between flushes happens faster and mineral deposits form more quickly. The cost over an entire year, even at twice weekly use, comes to less than the price of a single bottle of name-brand toilet bleach, and it solves a problem that bleach was never built to touch. I want to be honest about what this method will not do, because I have no interest in selling you something that disappoints you later. Citric acid dissolves mineral deposits. It does not disinfect in the way bleach does, and it will not whiten plastic seats that have yellowed from age or sun exposure, because that yellowing is a different chemical process entirely, related to the breakdown of the plastic itself rather than mineral buildup. If your toilet has genuine biological staining, mold in a corner that never dries, or grime built up from neglect rather than hard water, you will want a basic disinfecting wipe down alongside this, not instead of it. And if your bowl has scratches already from years of brush use, a single acid treatment will not undo that damage, though it will slow how fast new mineral catches in those grooves. What citric acid does, it does completely and reliably, because it is following a fixed chemical reaction, not a marketing promise. I have used this same approach on kettles, on shower heads, on the chrome fittings under a sink, and on every limescale-stained toilet bowl I have walked past in 11 years of doing this work, and it has never once failed to do exactly what the chemistry says it should. So here is what I want you to do this weekend. Walk into your bathroom and look honestly at that ring, the one you have been pretending not to see or scrubbing at out of habit rather than results. Shut off the water valve, flush the bowl as empty as you can get it, and pour in roughly 200 grams of plain citric acid powder, wetting it into a paste if the stain looks old. Walk away. Make tea, run your errands, sleep on it if the ring is bad enough. Come back, flush twice, and watch years of mineral lift away without your hands ever touching a brush. Then, once it is clean, drop a spoonful into the bowl before bed once a week, and watch the ring simply stop coming back. The bottle of bleach under your sink is not lying to you exactly. It does what bleach is built to do. It just was never built for this particular job, and nobody selling it to you had any reason to point that out. A bag of citric acid costs less than a single cup of coffee, and outlasts a dozen bottles of the cleaner you have been trusting for years. Tell me in the comments what your water is like where you live, and whether that ring has been winning the fight in your bathroom too, because the hardness of tap water changes everything about how fast this problem comes back, and I want to hear what you are working with. Next time, I want to show you the trick my master taught me for clearing a slow shower drain without a single drop of liquid drain cleaner, using nothing but 2 ingredients most people already keep in the kitchen. It follows the same idea as today, chemistry doing the work that brute force and brand names have been failing to do for years. Until then, leave the brush in the corner, trust the powder, and remember that most of what gets sold to you as cleaning power was never built to solve the problem sitting right in front of you.